and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. Today we will learn about the recently passed HERO Act for veterans here in Massachusetts. Quincy Veteran Services Director Christine Cugini is joining us. Also Robert Notch from the newly formed Massachusetts Office of Veterans Advocate. First though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it's partly sunny, 69 degrees right now. Just a gorgeous day today with abundant sunshine, just a few high thin clouds and highs in the comfortable low 70s this afternoon. A touch of fall in the air this evening. Temperatures will drop off to about 60 degrees. Not a bad Labor Day weekend coming up. A lot of clouds around tomorrow, but I think it'll stay dry for most of the day and a little warmer too. Tomorrow's highs right around 80 degrees. Some rain moves in overnight Saturday into Sunday morning with some showers around, and a high Sunday in the low 80s. Should stay cloudy by Sunday afternoon, and a mix of sun and clouds here on Labor Day Monday with a high in the mid 70s. Right now, partly sunny, 69 degrees in Quincy. Checking out news for you today. Well, today is the last day of early voting leading up to next Tuesday's state primary election. Here in Quincy, voters may cast ballots until 4:30 this afternoon in the Great Hall at Quincy City Hall. City Clerk Nicole Crispo is predicting a turnout of between 20 and 30% for the primary. Crispo says that in-person voting will take place next Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at all 31 precincts here in Quincy. She also says preparations are well underway for the November 5th presidential election.
We go over 70% in the presidential, and you will get another card in the mail asking if you wish to vote by mail for the presidential shortly there after the September 3rd primary.
Today is also the last day to cast an absentee ballot for Tuesday's primary. And don't forget, mail-in ballots must be received at the city clerk's office by Tuesday at 8 p.m. There is a ballot drop box located right outside Quincy City Hall. The first day of school in Quincy is next Wednesday. Students in grades 1 through 9 will return to classes on September 4th, followed by grades 10 through 12 next Thursday, and then pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students on Monday, September 9th. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says the new Rick DeCristofaro Learning Center had a soft opening earlier this year.
So excited about the whole new building and the classrooms and the whole the new energy that's really there for those youngsters. So very excited about that, and hopefully that's going to go smooth. The times are a little adjusted, a little different than the central school to try to ease on that traffic around that that block area in Wallison. So very excited about that one. That's a special project.
That new center on Old Colony Avenue provides year-round education for students with autism in grades K through 8. There are already 240 students enrolled in the school, which has a capacity of 350 students. The state is awarding Quincy a $125,000 grant to install a new HVAC system at the City of Quincy's Welcome Center in Quincy Center. That grant was one of 61 grants totaling $5.9 million awarded through the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. The grants are geared to strengthen the state's economy by investing in tourism infrastructure and experiences. The Quincy Welcome Center recently held a grand opening ceremony after undergoing extensive renovations that now feature interactive maps, children's games, and video displays of historic, cultural, and entertainment and food venues across the city. A Boston man has been charged with selling crack cocaine in Quincy while armed with a gun. 45-year-old Trong Vo was arrested after allegedly selling drugs to a man on Holmes Street in North Quincy this past Monday afternoon. Officers with the Quincy Police Drug Control Unit stopped Vo while he was riding a moped on Newport Avenue, where they seized drugs and a gun with a large capacity magazine. The buyer reportedly admitted purchasing the drugs from Vo, who now faces drug and firearms violations in Quincy District Court. The buyer was provided information about substance use treatment options. Quincy College recently celebrated the graduation of 21 Boston residents who completed that school's Life Sciences Job Training Program. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu included Quincy College among the first organizations to receive funding from Boston's new Life Sciences Workforce Initiative. It's designed to create career opportunities for up to 400 Boston residents in the state's life sciences industry. So Quincy College launched 2 biotech boot camps of free 4-week programs for these Boston students. They'll now be qualified to obtain in-demand jobs in the industry. Quincy College's biotechnology program has been hailed as a model by the Massachusetts Life Sciences Center, which has awarded the college nearly $2 million in grants. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, the HERO Act for veterans was passed recently here in Massachusetts. We'll get some details about it next. Welcome back. The new HERO Act was approved here in Massachusetts actually earlier this month, dealing with veterans and some active duty service people as well. It's a very extensive, involved new piece of legislation, and we're trying to get some highlights today from Quincy Veteran Services Director Christine Cugini. And also Robert Notch is here from the, as I mentioned, newly formed Office of the Veterans Advocate here in Massachusetts. So welcome to both of you. First of all, thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Christine, always great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Yeah, and Bob, nice to meet you for the first time.
Thanks for the invitation.
Sure.
Great to be here. Hope to have more conversations in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. A new office, right, within the Executive Office of Veteran Services.
Actually, external to
so
the
it's separate.
Executive Office.
Okay.
So we are an independent agency. We were created under the same act, the Acts of 2022,
Okay.
that elevated the Department of Veteran Services to the Executive Office
Yes.
of Veteran Services because of the issues we had during COVID with the soldiers' homes. So
Yes.
our office was created as an independent agency. We do liaison work with all state agencies. We also examine what all of the state agencies are providing, programs, benefits, and services to veterans and their families here in the Commonwealth. We also have an advisory role where we advise the leaders of the agencies, key leaders in legislature and the governor's office on where we can improve programs, benefits, and services.
Okay.
Then we also have a liaison responsibility with federal agencies across the Commonwealth. And then more importantly, I think, is we have an aid and coordinate role with all the veteran service agents in the municipalities here in Massachusetts.
Such as Christine.
That's why I'm here next to Christine today. I'm aiding and coordinating her efforts.
Yeah. Not only that, but you're a Quincy resident, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a veteran, I'm assuming?
27 years in the Army,
Wow.
some active duty time and some reserve time, but active reserve time. And my last 5 years were in the Pentagon, so worked across several agencies, and then a good understanding of how Department of Defense coordinates with other federal agencies.
Sure.
So
Wow.
this job is a good fit for me.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service, actually.
My
We'll
pleasure.
have to have you back more to talk about that office because it's a very important role, certainly. And I know that it'll be a busy one going forward.
Absolutely.
But today is the HERO Act, and it actually is an acronym, appropriate for military speak, right? They have their acronyms. It's a HERO, honoring, empowering, and recognizing our service members and veterans. HERO, right, Christine?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And they are heroes, for
They
sure.
are.
Yeah.
Yes.
As I mentioned, the governor signed the legislation earlier this month, actually. It's very extensive. Can you kind of give us an overview of what it is?
So there's a lot to it.
There really
but
is, yeah.
Some highlights is an increase in the annuity for 100% service-connected disabled veterans. And the amount is going up to $1,250, but then the check will now be once, so it's a $2,500 check rather than a $1,250 check twice a year.
Okay.
So a one-time-a-year check through the state. And once you apply for that and submit your application in for that annuity check, it continues on.
Okay. All right.
And
That's
then
significant. That's
it
that's
is.
a big increase.
And it helps,
Yeah.
you know, to know that money is going to be coming into your bank account.
Yes, yeah.
I think they deserve it, and they look forward to it.
Almost like a cost of living adjustment,
Exactly.
as like Social Security recipients would say,
Yes,
right?
I
Same
think
idea,
it's been many years since it had been increased.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was due.
Long overdue, yeah.
Long overdue.
Given the inflationary period
Absolutely.
we're in right now, yeah, absolutely.
So the change was with the annuity is an increase, and rather than 2 checks at a smaller amount, they'll do a full amount.
Okay.
Once a year.
And is it retroactive to any point? Or?
It is no.
No, okay, so it's
No.
starting forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Starting in 2025.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And then there's some information on the tax abatement for the veterans, with some options for the municipalities to look at and see how they can increase and really branch out and reach more veterans.
Yeah.
And then I'll pass it over to Mr. Notch to kind of
Yeah, I
do
know, Bob,
the,
you're pretty passionate
speci-
about this, right? You feel
the
this is really
specifics
important.
of it.
I do.
Yeah.
So this is great legislation. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
I will share that even though our office is just starting, we've been working on this legislation since day one in our advisory role. So provided written and oral testimony when the first hearing was held, and then every time this bill moved between the House and the Senate and to conference committee, we did a full review and provided our advice on a lot of things.
Okay.
So where we ended up, I think has a lot of goodness to it. There, for us, the more important piece is there are key things in here that open doors for continued improvements in how we serve veterans and their families here in Massachusetts. And one of those is the definition of veteran. So this law expands the definition of veteran in one key area, which is Chapter 115, which is primarily the benefits that are provided from the state, specifically the Office of Veteran Services, to veterans. And they do that through all our municipal veteran service agents. There are actually 6 different locations in Mass General Law that have a definition of veteran. Our point is we've made one step. Let's fix the rest of those pieces of legislation and make that apply to other benefits and programs that apply to veterans, such as license plates or veterans bonus or other things like that that don't fall under Chapter 115.
Okay. So when you say the expansion of the definition of a veteran, it really means expanding the benefits that they're eligible for?
What it means is, specifically the language that's in here
Yeah.
recognizes if the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs recognizes you as a veteran, now the state of Massachusetts recognizes
okay.
you as a veteran. Those were not in sync
Really?
before.
Okay.
And a lot of states are that way.
Oh, interesting.
The federal level has one definition, state levels have different. So for Chapter 115, these are now aligned.
I see.
And that opens the doors from some very good folks out there that worked in commission corps of the U.S. Public Health Service
Oh.
and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Oh, so they're considered
So
veterans.
now for Chapter 115 benefits and some other things, they are now considered a veteran in Massachusetts.
Okay,
And,
all right.
and those folks, personally, having worked with some of them throughout my career, they are national security elements.
Certainly.
They are commissioned officers who take the same oath as I did and Christine did, right? Support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And they are expeditionary, which means they can get called today to go deploy to Africa tomorrow to help with Ebola,
Yeah,
right?
I see. Okay.
Those are serious missions. Those are national security related missions.
Sure.
And those folks are putting themselves in harm's way
Yep.
to do that. So I think it's appropriate that, at least for this piece of legislation, we now are including them in the definition of veteran.
Yes, yeah. What about merchant marine? I know that that's been discussed in the past.
So merchant marine is already written in the law,
Oh, it
but
is.
there's a specific time frame, particularly during World War II, which that does align with the federal language too.
Yes.
The dates are a little bit wider
Okay.
here in Massachusetts for that, but for a group of folks that were in the merchant marine during World War II, yes, they are eligible for veterans
Yeah.
benefits.
So how will you reach out to these folks that are now eligible for these benefits? You know, I mean, they need to know this, right?
The outreach is always a challenge
Yeah.
for any program benefit or service here in
Yes.
Massachusetts. So once we get up and running with social media and a web page and participating in local events, Veterans Expos, we were here at the Quincy Expo back in July,
Yes.
walking around, having
Okay,
conversations, and that's a good way for us to get an understanding of what still needs work
Yep.
for veterans out
Yep.
there.
Okay.
So there's a lot of avenues to do it. I don't know that there's a perfect one. I've been working in the nonprofit sector for 7 years
Oh,
in
really?
the military veteran space, and it's a challenge for everyone who's trying to help.
Yeah, absolutely. The best, I guess, here in Quincy, the best line of recourse is contact Christine
Yes.
in her office as well, and your local veteran
Your first
services
step
agent.
should always be
Yeah.
your local veteran service
Yeah,
agent.
I know that Christine, you harp continuously about
Yes.
call, get in touch, check.
Absolutely.
You know, don't just sit back.
Don't sit back.
There are
Ask the
benefits.
questions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no downside to
There
asking
is
questions.
no downside, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So,
And we learn together.
yes,
Yeah.
you know,
And things are always changing. Yeah.
they are
as-
always changing.
as we see.
And there's a lot out there. So,
Another piece of the HERO Act, Bob, I know you're passionate about, is this real estate tax abatement provision.
So there is a piece of this legislation, again, that allows cities and towns across Massachusetts to make their own choice on providing additional benefits to veterans and their families, really, because they're tied together. So there's a provision in here that allows municipalities to at least match the tax abatement that is in place already. So whatever that percentage happens to be at the state level, the city and town can vote to raise it to a level up to that, anywhere in between.
Okay.
What I love about this is, as we look at state law, a lot of our programs and services are focused on veterans who are either disabled or low income, are really struggling. And we need to do that.
Certainly.
Absolutely
Right.
need to do that.
Yep.
This is an opportunity for city and towns to actually provide that benefit to any veteran who lives in their community, as a
Okay.
property owner in their community. We're probably watching the news and talking about the exodus of the workforce out of Massachusetts. This is an opportunity for a city and town to offer veterans another reason to come to their town or stay in
Or
their
stay.
town, right?
Yeah.
Hey, your tax abatement is going to be this if you move into this city.
Sure.
So our goal is to recommend that every city take a good solid look at this and maximize their ability to do that for veterans.
Okay.
Because Christine's a veteran, I'm a veteran. This would apply to us. This would apply to the single parent veteran who has 1 to 2 children that is getting by. They have a job and they're making it,
Yeah.
but they don't have money to spare.
Right.
If we put the tax abatement in place, we give them that little bit extra, just like we were talking about with the increase in the annuity. We give them a little bit extra for another month's of groceries or another
Yeah.
2 months of groceries, whatever that works out.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it needs to be approved at the local level.
Yes,
Yes.
it's a local level thing. There are a couple other options in
Options.
there for the city to do some things to expedite processes for getting checks to Chapter 115 benefits and
Okay.
things. So our goal is there's more you can do to recognize all veterans out there. And please, for the city leadership that's out there, take a look at it. We'd love to see every city and town in Massachusetts take advantage.
Yeah, I know it's been discussed here in Quincy
Yes.
at the city council level. There's no decision just yet, but it's certainly on the burner for sure.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Great.
Is it also for active duty, or is it just for veterans?
Just for veterans,
Okay.
the way this is written.
Yes.
But you mentioned active duty. There are a number of things that are written in the HERO Act as well that do apply to any active military families that are stationed in Massachusetts. We don't have a lot here in Massachusetts. We do have recruiters that come and live in the state to help with recruiting. We have the U.S. Constitution with the Navy. We have the Coast Guard base. And then we have our Guard and Reserve bases that are spread around. Hanscom Air Force
Sure.
Base, Nady Collapse. So not a large presence compared to other states, but we do have military members here. And the language in here helps them with their families, mostly tied with children and schooling and childcare, things like that.
Okay.
support.
And skills training, right, Christine? Something I know that you're curious about.
Yes,
Yeah.
the kind of transferring the training that service members received while serving could transfer into
The civilian world. right?
civilian world, specifically EMTs and maybe nursing and we'll see what else comes down the road with
Yeah.
it. But
Another add to that piece of the labor force maybe moving out of the state of Massachusetts, it would be great to create programs here in Massachusetts where we're drawing former military members to Massachusetts, right? A lot of focus is on green energy. The governor went and said we need 30,000 jobs in green energy. The CHIP Act is coming. Hey, can we build chips here in Massachusetts? We have a huge medical industry. We have robotics. We have a lot of things happening in Massachusetts
Certainly,
where
yeah.
we need a larger labor force.
Workers, right? Yeah.
I'm biased. After 27 years in the military, I can tell you those are the folks that you want to hire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone who has had a broad experience in the military.
Sure.
So I think this is another first step. Let's look at how we do licensure for EMTs, and we're looking at those that have medical background on the military side. The next step for me is, what other things can we make that transition easier for military members to transition into? Can we look at their skills and experience to other licensure requirements for skilled workers here in Massachusetts? So, huge opportunity here.
Yeah.
This opens the door that I think can help the state in the future quite a bit.
So this is a provision of this HERO Act.
Yeah, the EMT
allowing
role
this-
specifically, those folks that have medical background,
Yes.
there's some work, right, that has to be done. The legislation gets passed to the agency, in this
That's
case,
not the end of it,
Department
right?
Health,
That's just kind
right?
of the beginning, yeah.
The administrating of the law is what happens next, and there's a lot of work that needs.
Well, you know, the thing that fascinated me when I was looking into this is that the office, the Executive Office of Veteran Services, was only formed in March of 2023. I thought there would be something, you know, for a long, long time in Massachusetts.
Well, there was. It was actually called the Department
It was
of
the
Veteran
department.
Services.
Right, but now it's at the executive level.
Yes.
You know, within the governor's
Yes.
circle, right? And I think John Santiago, right,
Yes.
is the
Yes.
director, a veteran and a doctor
Yes.
as well. So that's a huge step forward, I think, is it not?
More visibility
Yeah.
shows the importance, I think,
Yeah.
from the leadership in the state
Absolutely.
on veterans and their families here in the Commonwealth. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
yes, it was great to see.
Christine, going forwards, the Chapter 115 involves the disability payments.
So it's not a disability payment, it's actually like a low-income financial assistance
And
for our
there's a
veterans.
whole package, right?
There is a whole
Yeah.
package, and there's a lot to it. But certainly, you know, any veteran who is struggling financially should reach out. There are guidelines that we have to go through, you know, and abide by, but ultimately, again, it's something, if you don't ask, you don't know,
Right.
and they're opening up the budgets a little bit to assist more people in the
Okay.
Chapter 115. Also, we have medical-only budgets with, you know, you don't necessarily, you're not eligible to receive financial assistance in a monthly check, but you are eligible for us to assist you in co-payments or your medical health insurance payments, things like that. So again, you know, there's a lot out there, and as long as, you know, you ask the question and you ask for the help, you know, we can certainly see what we can do to help
Yeah,
you
well,
in the
I mean,
office.
It just seems like you're always kind of struggling to reach folks who are eligible for. I mean, you literally went door to door earlier
We
this
did.
year.
We did, but it's also concerning when you hear from that veteran, even now, that says, "I didn't know this office existed," and there's no blame. It's just
No.
we want to make sure that everybody is aware. And today is Friday, and I met with somebody on Wednesday that said just
Is that right?
I didn't know that you were here.
Okay.
And so, as much as I say it,
You need
it
to say it
needs.
more.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
You know,
Word of mouth, still the best form of
it really
advertising.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So-
And veterans do speak and talk and share with other veterans.
Sure.
So it's a lot about that.
Yeah, and
Word of
now-
mouth is great.
Robert, with your office now, that'll take it even a step further.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is a whole of government approach. And actually, personally, I go beyond that. But initially, the way this office is established is to look at, Okay, who are our federal partners that are serving veterans and their families here in Massachusetts? The VA we think of automatically, but Department of Labor is out there helping with employment for veterans. So there's a number of agencies that are here providing that support. And then in addition to that, you've got the state. And it's not just Executive Office of Veteran Services. We do have a Labor and Workforce Development office as well. We have the Veterans Bonus Division that has some opportunities for those that are in bonuses. So there's multiple agencies at the state level. And a lot of the work that really gets done at the local level, which we like, and which is what Christine does, and those teams around the state, is can we make it easier for a veteran to get the help they need? And the way to do that is they're only a few blocks away. They don't have to go 2 hours to get to the VA,
Right.
or they don't have to go somewhere. So trying to stitch all of that together and make sure that veterans understand what's available and how to make those connections and get the help they need. The step further that I mentioned is we have over 200 nonprofits in Massachusetts just focused on veterans and their families. So I look at that as a whole of community approach, and some of that term has been used. How can we better tie in what is close to the veteran who is in need that makes it easy for them to access a benefit program or services, whether it's federal, state, local, or nonprofit.
We'll have to have you back for sure.
All right.
Good to see you. Good to meet you. Christine, always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. Get outside. It is beautiful. Mix of sun and clouds, low 70s. Comfortable again tonight, down to 60. Not too bad for the holiday weekend. Cloudy but warmer tomorrow. Some rain overnight into Sunday morning. The sunshine returns on Labor Day. Thanks again to Christine Cugini and Bob Notch for joining us on the program today. Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. We're off here on Monday for Labor Day. Join us a week from today. Kelly Eisner stopping by from the American Red Cross. Meantime, check our website. It's qatv.org. You'll find our latest programs, news, information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.